Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I know there's a lot of events happening on campus and around town and in the world, and so we appreciate you tuning in for a few minutes here for lunch. My name is Jordan Schugar. I'm a professor of English here at Westchester. I'm going to let the other folks kind of introduce themselves. So, Rebecca, did you want to introduce yourself, and Aaron after that?
I'm also a professor here in the psychology and anthropology and sociology departments.
And I'm a professor in the psychology department.
And Trachanda?
Hi,
Did you want
I'm
to say hello?
Trachanda Garcia, and I work in the Global Engagement Office, and I work with faculty-led programs and study abroad.
And lastly, we have Thierry. Thierry, can you introduce yourself to us as well? Thierry is visiting us from Rwanda.
So I'm Thierry Amiable. I'm the coordinator of Forest of Hope Association, a local NGO located in Rwanda.
Sweet. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us today. Our goals for today is we wanted to describe some of the kind of ongoing work that's happening between Westchester and Rwanda and Thierry's group of the Forest of Hope. We often get a lot of questions, and we wanted to use this opportunity to kind of showcase what we're doing here as well. And I think take this time too to kind of invite colleagues to participate in the work, in the research, in the engagement that's happening over there, because there's really a lot of great opportunities that are available to Westchester and the community. So this is our agenda for today. We sort of have broken it down into these kind of different areas. We'll give you a little bit of background about like how we got to Rwanda. I think that's a big question. Like people are always curious about like, what do you mean Westchester has this relationship in Rwanda, and describing a little bit of the background. I think that story is really important. We also want to describe a little bit about what the Forest of Hope does in Gishwati-Mukura. And so Thierry will talk to us a little bit about some of the phenomenal work that he's doing. And then also look across university at opportunities for other folks to get involved. I think there's really in every college, in every space, just about every unit, there's some applicability to the work that's being done in this relationship. So we wanted to take an opportunity to kind of exploit that with a lowercase e. Trachanda will talk to us as well about some of the resources. I know when we think about international, we think about Africa. We have a lot of questions associated with that, and the office, the GEO office, does a great job supporting and cultivating the relationship. And so she'll share with us a little bit about that. And then lastly, we're going to talk to you about ways to get involved and some other examples, and also leave some time in the end for question and answers. So this is a quote I got from actually the GEO office, which I think really encapsulates what this relationship is and what we're really trying to do here between us at Westchester and Thierry and his community and the planet and socio-political situations. I think all of this relationship, this opportunity that we have here that we're working with is really ticks a lot of these boxes, and I think it's important to acknowledge that. Alyssa, I don't think is a student at our university, although I do think this is super apropos. And overall, I think it really meets the goals of what we want to be doing here. So, why Rwanda? I think is always a good question. There's some links here that we'll share in a little bit about all these things that I'll talk about that I'll throw in there. But I think the story begins, as we all kind of know, in 1994 with the genocide against the Tutsis, where there were 1 million individuals killed in just a couple of months. In the wake of that, as Rwanda's recovering and they begin to sort of take stock of national resources, and obviously, as everybody knows, after the genocide, the infrastructure was decimated, and I think inevitably they came to the forest. They came to this little fragmented forest in the northwest portion of Rwanda, and there was a question there about like what do we do with those resources? And I think at that time, my understanding is the Great Ape Trust was involved. I think Rwanda historically has this great history of large primates with the gorillas in Volcanoes National Park. Diana Fossey and Karasoke is in that area as well. So there's this great history, and I think that group was initially what funded or what created an opportunity for Rebecca to pursue a postdoc in that space in Gishwati, and through that inevitably. Aaron would join her, and then we begin to kind of study the population of chimpanzees in the forest, because they weren't really sure, the Rwandan government, whether there were population was saving there, and nobody really knew what was in that forest and how people were using that. So Rebecca, through the Great Ape, and Aaron, and through the relationships is where they met Thierry. They met Sylvain, which we'll talk about later, and Madeline, who helped run the organization as well. And they began to do research in that forest and start to track the population and start to track the growth of that forest. And inevitably what had happened is that forest, that fragmented forest, had shrunk 98% in the past like 70, 80 years. And so you were really looking at this really small percentage of forest. And this is where I think Rebecca and Aaron started at the university, which was a few years after my wife and I had started here in 2008. They had been doing the research in the forest, and that was part of the work. And I think part of the reason we were hired here at the university was to be extended in that. And through their relationships, inevitably, they were able to a benefactor here at the university. They were able to facilitate the building of a brick and mortar field station. And this field station, which was designed for research, also is a use for Forest of Hope for their offices. And it was really just sort of this partnership to support the work that FHA was doing, not only in the forest, but also in the surrounding communities. And as you'll hear from Thierry in a little bit, so much of that conservation work for that vulnerable population of chimpanzees and golden monkeys there is really the community around them. So through that, I think there were developing, FHA was working, looking to Westchester to sort of help and support their programs. I think that's a little bit about where I had come into the picture. Prior to the forest had become officially a national park in 2015. I should mention that as well. It was the fourth national park in Rwanda. And I think when it was created, I think there's obviously a lot of questions about what does that look like? What does that mean? I think these are important questions. I think Rwandan Thierry is sort of leading these questions. But I think what's important to point out here, and I think this is the part that I learned about previously on every visit I go there, is the importance of the research that set the precedent for what they were doing, and this really partnership about understanding the nature of what was happening in that forest from a really data-driven perspective. So after it was established as a national park, and the field station had been built. The design of the field station for Westchester was to create opportunities for Westchester faculty, students, the community on its whole. My own interest is from a sort of the mobile pedagogy piece, having the sense of the understanding of experiential learning. So sort of telling the story about what's happening over, in Rwanda and our relationship. And so that's kind of the overview of it. I know that there's more parts to it. But the research continues to go on there, and I think this is kind of where we are here, where we're kind of thinking about places for other folks to get involved. I'm going to let Thierry here talk. As Thierry's talking, I'm going to provide you some links here to provide a little bit more of information about the stuff that I was talking about, and more eloquently describes what had been happening. But Thierry here will talk a little bit about some of the programs that he has going on here. So, Thierry.
Thank you very much, Jordan. As I mentioned, I'm Thierry from Forest of Hope. This is a local NGO that is working on protection of protected areas in Rwanda, but we are focusing on Gishwati. This is a fragment forest located in the western part of Rwanda, and it is a part of Gishwati-Mukura National Park. That is the fourth and the youngest national park we have among the four we have in Rwanda. So our long-term mission is community engagement, and we do this through engaging local communities in protection of that forest, Gishwati, and also we go in community education and community outreach, and also we participate in improving local livelihood, because through the protection you need to make sure that the community are getting alternative of what they are supposed to get inside the park. So we have been working in Gishwati since 2012 as Forest of Hope, but before the journey, as Jordan was saying, started before with Gradable Trusts, and we were just created just to move forward the mission that Black People Trust started. I think maybe Professor Aaron and Rebecca will be talking about it. So, but the main aim was just to save Gishwati, a forest that lost about 98% of vegetation coverage in only 30 years. So what remained was 2% of what Gishwati was. And we are thankful that now it is a national park, and it has a larger protection now. The government is also allocating a budget just to protect it and manage it. But before it was not the case. Together with Forest of Hope, with the government of Rwanda, with Westchester University, we made a collaboration that made Gishwati become a national park with many achievements. Now Gishwati is grown. Now it is now about 15 square kilometers. And of course, the biggest achievement is that it became a part of national park with another nearby forest called Mukura, and together form the Gishwati-Mukura National Park. It is a forest that is rich in biodiversity and has an opportunity for research for many people. It has eastern chimpanzees, it has monkeys, golden monkeys and mountain monkeys, a big number of bird species, including 20 that are endemic to the region, and also a large number of tree species. So you understand that is an opportunity for research for people who can be interested. And the fact that we have this collaboration will be helping everyone who wants to come and participate. Talking about the activities we do in Gishwati, I'll be talking about the community engagement project we have, and we also facilitate research using the research facility that Jordan was talking about, and we recently also entered in a tourism management in a collaboration with another partner that I'll be talking about. So for the community engagement project, we do it in a kind of three main activities. The first one is community education. We start with young people in eco clubs, in schools, to educate them and support them to share the conservation message to their colleague within the community. So it is a kind of giving opportunity to young people to educate their parents about conservation and also environmental protection. And this is always linked with a competition to motivate them to educate the community. And where every year we organize a competition and provide awards to the winner. We also organize different meetings within the community, and this is an opportunity to share the information, either from research, from what we see in the forest protection, to ask the community to participate in the conservation of this primate habitat. And also, we know that we need information to make sure that we are giving the community what is needed, and make sure that they participate in the conservation of these forests. This is why we have a small library in the area that has some books of conservation, but also to motivate people to read, we put some books of different courses like geography, history, things like that. And this mainly was a donation from all the groups that have been visiting us in Gishwati. And this library is used by local teacher and students to learn about conservation and also get the information on what they can teach. And also some researchers can use it because we have some books that they can read and find different methodology they can be using. So talking about another option of engaging local communities to support local livelihood. The picture that you are seeing is from the community group we are working with, because they are going in the forest to look for something, and we should support that thing they are going to look to make sure that they are not going there again. So we have a cooperative, different cooperatives. We have beekeepers, we have traditional healers, we have groups of people who are considered as indigenous people because they were living in the forest before, but they found themselves out because the forest has been reduced and they do not have like enough space inside. So they now practice traditional dance and also have pottery, and also we support a lot local farmers to get improved seed, the fertilizers, to make sure that their land they are using the land in a way that is productive and they get what they need rather than going in the forest. So here we also started the community-based tourism, where all the guests visit these cooperatives and sometimes leave some money with them, and they can get some money to use for their livelihood or the household needs. So every year we are having a student coming, and they also have opportunity to visit this community product and the project to see what is happening. And we are also providing internship for different students. I'll be talking about it, and to learn about Rwandan culture, but also support this community to better what they are doing, to make sure that they are presenting it in a way that is attractive and also somehow informing people what they are doing. So another program we have is research facilitation. I'll take this opportunity to thank very much Professor Aaron and Rebecca. We started collaborating from the Great Ape Trust, and the time First of Hope was created, they kept like supporting us to be involved in research within what we call the Gishwati Primate Project. It is a long-term research on chimpanzee behavioral ecology, and with this partnership established, the Westchester University Foundation supported us to get a research station, and it is located in Gishwati. It is a facility that is now helping to expand research from biodiversity, food security, agriculture, livelihood, climate change, in and around the Gishwati-Mukura National Park. So indeed, this facility helped the different researchers and the scientists and the research institutions that want to learn about Gishwati. And we are hosting different students from different universities, including some from Westchester University, George Washington University, Drake University, Columbia University, Yale University, all located in the US. And we hosted also some students from Europe, from the Netherlands, from Australia, and of course, local students from the National University of Rwanda. We also provide internship, in the last 2 years, we hosted 3 interns from Yale University who came just and stayed with us for 10 weeks. So this is an opportunity for a student who can be willing to come and do internship, learning about what we do. Like currently, we have a student from Westchester working with Jordan. He's helping us to better the way we communicate our achievement in project we are doing. And of course, we support also a study abroad program from different universities, including the one of Westchester, that is led by Professor Aaron and Rebecca. And we used to host also another group led by Brenda. And this is happening almost every year, but we have other groups coming using this research facility that was put in Gishwati to come and run different methodologies, research methodology, the history of Gishwati, the history of Rwanda, just run the culture of Rwanda from our community. So we have been hosting different students from Yale University. Now they are coming every year, starting by 2022, and Drake University, they are also coming every 2 years. So as I said, we have entered in a collaboration with a big company that is operating high-end tourism in Rwanda. They are called Wilderness. Maybe some of you know them. So they have a 25 years tourism concession agreement between the government of Rwanda to manage Gishwati tourism. So because they found us on the ground and they found us having the facility, the research facility I was talking about, now we are collaborating in tourism management. We are the one hosting all the tourists visiting Gishwati, and we are assisting also in the product development, habituating the primate we have, or the primate. Now we are monitoring them and habituating them, and also we are trying to make sure that the forest is accessible, renewing the tourism, the trails network that was here before in Gishwati, created by research, and now they are looking good and make Gishwati accessible. It is a great partnership that also provides internship to students to come and participate in the habituation program, visiting all the primates every day and help them to get used to human. So our hope as Forest of Hope is to get Gishwati regenerate, as it is a small forest, but very diverse, and having many endangered primates. We want it to regenerate and provide enough food for these creatures. And also we want the surrounding community to feel the ownership and continue receiving benefit from what they are conserving. And of course, we are planning to continue strengthening the conservation education and the community outreach. We are here just to improve local livelihood, providing direct support through income generating and the capacity building projects within the community. And we are really willing to establish more relationship to make sure that this research facility is functioning and also helping a lot of researchers and study abroad groups make sure that Gishwati is studied and everyone is learning from it. So that's what I was planning to give you, to tell you about Gishwati and Forest of Hope. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Thierry. That was awesome. Rebecca and Aaron, I realize this is a busy slide here, but do you guys want to kind of expand upon and talk a little bit more about ways that you guys have, as leading us through here, how there are ways we can be involved here on campus?
Sure. Yeah. Thierry mentioned a lot of really interesting ways that, WCU can collaborate with Forest of Hope. Thinking about the kind of multidisciplinary nature of the, research station, we can think of a lot of different opportunities in the different colleges. So an example might be, in the College of Arts and Humanities, African literature, genocide studies, dance, languages, linguistics, history, mass communication. So all of these are areas where you would be able to potentially run a study abroad, have potentially graduate students doing independent research or undergraduate students doing independent research, maybe faculty gaining research experience with kind of independent research with undergrad or graduate students as well. You want to talk a little bit more about some of the other colleges?
Yeah, and I mean, it's a pretty comprehensive list that's up here. I think one of the things that strikes us when we were sort of thinking about how the field station, the potential it has to be utilized, is that there's virtually no department on campus that doesn't have the potential to add a cross-cultural component to the research and the studies that faculty and students do.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look across this list, virtually all of the things that we're doing right here in the surrounding region are perfectly well suited to be done in this cross-cultural context in Rwanda as well, adding a sort of an extra dimension to the work that faculty are already doing here locally. There's, I think Thierry mentioned too, one of the really important things to highlight is that although the field station, one of the emphasis that we've had personally is looking at what's going on inside the forest, that the work that FHA has been doing with the surrounding communities has really set the stage for a beautiful relationship for researchers and faculty to come on and do work outside of the forest as well too. So the partnerships that FHA has built over the years would make it very easy for students and faculty to step in and work with members of the surrounding population around Gishwati, or even local field sites that might be close by as well too. So we want to think of this as a larger sort of, not just inside the forest in terms of sustainability, but outside of the forest as well in terms of human population.
And oh, sorry.
May I stop you for just?
Yeah.
I think I have a solution that will make the volume work better here.
Oh, fantastic.
If you would mute your.
So we can't hear you anymore.
All right, can you hear us, Jordan, Thierry?
Yes.
I can hear you, Bradley, but I didn't hear the rest of that question.
Rebecca muted the screen, so we can't hear anymore.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
I think if you, let's see how that.
Okay, the source. So one of the things that I can, kind of just describe where the research station is set up, it's really in this kind of an amazing area. It's very close to the forest, so it's within walking distance to the forest. So if there's any, kind of work that somebody might be interested in doing in the forest, it's very easy to access the forest. But it's also right within a community outside of the forest. And so we've sort of, as Aaron and Thierry and Jordan have mentioned, we've sort of built up a long-term relationship with a lot of the members within that community. And so, it's very, very easy to sort of, kind of do research in sort of the surrounding areas around Gishwati. Trying to think of, sort of if you have examples of what has been done in the past and that.
Yeah, so I note that Thierry mentioned that FHA is also working on issues of sort of water access and food insecurity or sustainability. That's an obvious area where faculty and students from Westchester could come in and sort of do work in an area like that. We've had Dr. Brenda Gadosh from History and Genocide Studies has run study abroad trips over there, obviously looking at some of the historical components of the region in sort of a broader sort of context of what she studies. I know that all Thierry mentioned that FHA works with a lot of communities that are doing basket weaving and traditional dancing and music and pottery. And I think from an art standpoint, individuals in that college would there would be a great opportunity to go and see work with artisans firsthand to study those kinds of techniques. We've had talks on and off with some individuals in astronomy talking about how it'd be what a wonderful opportunity to open up a southern hemisphere site to study astronomy. And when with the lower levels of light pollution and things like that out in the field station, that's a wonderful opportunity to take students to do that kind of work. But again, we really we run the gamut across most departments in terms of just some really interesting cross-cultural work. I think that can be done by adding a very accessible kind of component to the research that our faculty are already doing here.
Yeah, and if you're interested in sort of forest fragmentation, anthropogenic effects, ecosystem services, and sort of how to bring those back, those are all big questions that are happening in Gishwati. And Gishwati is actually one of a big biodiversity hotspot. It's located in the Albertine Rift, and so that's sort of for ecology and sort of biodiversity. It's also a really big area for that as well. So you can see a lot of sort of, kind of sciences and mathematics interest as well for that.
I've had informal discussions with individuals in Department of Statistics and Mathematics, and one individual was commenting to me that, oh, it'd be great to have a real world situation that we could take students into to practice statistical techniques out of the field. And we're saying, what a wonderful opportunity that would be, to have students tackle issues, in the field, in that sort of math and domain as well. So yeah, I think that the opportunities are sort of endless. And I think one of the nice things about this, and Trachanda can speak a little bit more about the support that the university can provide, but a lot of the infrastructure and a lot of the groundwork is already in place to make the development of a program in Rwanda fairly smooth. So we've got a place to stay out there. We've got study abroad trips that you can reference and use as a template that have already been running for many years now successfully. We've got FHA as a partner that has those linkages to not only the surrounding communities, but really good working relationships with all of the government entities that would need to be worked with to put research in place. So, I think over the years, we sort of developed a really nice template that if students and faculty are interested in going over and starting something, you're not starting from anywhere near zero, right? You're starting with a lot of support already behind you.
Trachanda, can you share a little bit about, because this is a good segue for you to talk a little bit about some of the work that you've done and your office supports here as well.
Yep. So the Global Engagement Office at Westchester, one of our big roles is supporting faculty and staff-led programs abroad. So some of the ways that we do that is, especially through the work that I do, is working with faculty and staff to create partnerships. Through the Pennsylvania State System of Higher Education, we have travel providers that we are authorized to work with. So they really help with taking a lot of the hassle of calling airlines and things like that off of the plates of the program directors to help make sure that we can facilitate booking flights, the logistics, even the ground transportation and the ground costs. We also have resources here through our website and through our portal to help students with the application process. One of the things I really like about our study abroad portal is that for the students, it's almost gamified, and they can do a study abroad matchmaking quiz that helps students make decisions about what programs are best for them and what they're looking for in programs abroad. We offer over 700 different opportunities for study abroad for students at Westchester, and about 38 of those are our faculty and staff-led programs for students. They're usually more affordable, and the reason why students really like them is because they get to work one-on-one with faculty and staff. They have really good established partnerships that a lot of times are long-lasting that they can contribute to. The cost is typically more affordable, and they get to go on a cohort with just Westchester University faculty, staff, and students. So a lot of times our students who've never traveled before are a little bit more intimidated about going by themselves. They have the opportunity of going with a group. One of the other things that I like to talk about for our faculty is just the ability to work with our office to do a lot of professional development. I know our office does offer limited, but we do have some professional development resources for faculty who want to go abroad and continue to create and sustain those partners that they are cultivating. We also offer lots of scholarships for our students actually to go abroad through our office. We have presidential initiative scholarships. One of them that comes to mind is the Golden Rams Initiative, and that's specifically for underrepresented minority students who might have barriers to study abroad, and it helps alleviate some of that financial cost for them. We also have travel awards that we can offer students and traditional study abroad scholarships. Through our partner that Erin and Rebecca worked with, World Strides, it's one of the PASHE approved study abroad providers that we can have faculty work through. They offer additional scholarships and funding for study abroad opportunities that students can apply for. They also do their best when it comes to sustainability to give opportunities to have more greener initiatives. So they always try to prioritize public transportation when it comes to these trips. There's a water bottle program that students can get a QR code to put on their refillable water bottles when they study abroad. And every time they fill it, it donates money to water conservation and water cleanup resources. And finally, I just want to talk about, and it's not necessarily our office, but the Career Services Office, and just how much they work with us to support study abroad. A lot of times students come back from study abroad experiences and they have these transformational life experiences and they don't know how to market themselves or what to do with them. And Career Services at West Chester University does a really good job at helping students translate those skills onto their resumes. And also a lot of students do want to continue to go abroad or do internships abroad even after graduation, or maybe work abroad. And Career Services does a really good job at helping students getting their resumes ready for work abroad, looking for opportunities and resources, and also counseling our students about what's available to them after they graduate. So thanks.
Sweet, thank you. Thank you. I think the theme that I think hopefully that you all are getting is just the amount of like success and great opportunities. My own like professional space. I know Rebecca and Erin. I know like you the publications and stuff and the work that you all have done over there as well. As we sort of close out, are there a couple other one or two other sort of examples, things you guys want to add here a little bit at the end about just some of the benefits, some of the great opportunities that have come through here? And then maybe we take a few questions at the end too.
Yeah.
Sure. I can start.
Oh, I guess.
Yeah, I think obviously as part of a sustainability seminar series, I think it's really important to highlight the fact that for our work, for the research station to flourish, for FHA's work, it needs to be done in a sustainable context. And that can mean a lot of different things, but I think one of the things we want to take a minute to highlight is it needs to be sustainable in the sense that we're building something larger than just the research efforts that we make as individuals. And so, are we doing things to, for instance, increase capacity in Rwanda for Rwandan students to access these kinds of learning experiences and opportunities? Are we, how much are we, putting forward to training the next generation of researchers and conservationists and things like that are going to carry the flag, even further. And so we just want to take a moment to sort of highlight some of these successes that we've had academically and that we hope to increase in the future. We could probably start with talking about, building sort of more local research capacity. Our field station has hosted over the years numerous students, as Thierry was pointing out, from the National University of Rwanda, across a variety of different disciplines. Primarily, they've been sort of biologically or conservation biology focused, but that's broadening over the years as well. And a number of those students have gone on to write theses and memoirs that we and others have helped supervise. So there's that component of us at the undergraduate level in Rwanda trying to help build capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to talk about graduates?
Yeah, I mean, at the graduate level as well. I mean, we've had a lot of students come through at the graduate level with some really exciting research, especially with us with the primates. We have previous students who have actually gone to West Chester for their master's degree, and now they're at other universities getting their PhDs at Columbia University, continuing to do work in Gishwati, at two at George Washington University who just graduated and now have their PhDs. And one is defended and one has his PhD. And so we sort of, we feel like, we're kind of contributing to that next generation of students who are going to then continue on with the research in Gishwati. And so I think that's sort of one of the big goals here is to kind of maintain that, so it doesn't end with us, and we sort of further that process.
And I think, going forward too, building off of what Rebecca was just saying, as the one theme has been, sort of maybe encouraging faculty to think about, projects that they might be able to do out there, or ways to take students to get involved with the work out there. Think about not just the benefit to, obviously there's a clear benefit to your research program. Your students are going to get an amazing sort of benefit with the experience that they gain by visiting that and working at that site.
Mm-hmm.
But the more multidisciplinary this field station gets, which is the ultimate goal, the more opportunities become available, not just to Westchester students, but also to partners that we have in Rwanda. So Rwandan students that can come up and work with visiting researchers and scholars from other institutes is going to be a huge benefit. We now have fairly decent internet connection up at the field station. So, thinking about ways that you can incorporate, remote kind of learning experiences, maybe even while you're still here at Westchester, to remotely connect with students from the National University of Rwanda. I think that the broader and more multidisciplinary we get, you sort of exponentially increase the amount of opportunities available to students all over the world. So, and that's the sustainable, academic goal that we want to reach here, hopefully.
Yeah, thank you all for your work, and Trachanda for your work, and Thierry for joining us as well, and yeah, there really are a lot of great opportunities here. So I know we only have like a few minutes left, so we did want to just take a few minutes to see if there were questions and answers, and see if you guys had some questions or comments and things that we could sort of talk about here in the end. If it's okay, I'm going to stop sharing the screen here, and then I'm able to put a couple of those links that I meant to do earlier into here, because I couldn't do it while this was sharing here. So do we have questions and answers? I don't know how to quite facilitate that from here.
All right, well, thank you to all of you presenting. Jordan, are you able to hear me well at this point? Yeah.
Yes, okay. Absolutely.
I want to ask, thank everybody here in person for some of the audio problems we've been fighting with, but I think it's working well enough at this point. There may be questions from some of the folks who are on Zoom, but we also have a few folks here who may have some questions. I know I'm curious about opportunities for students to travel with faculty, conduct research, but I'm really curious about how Trachanda, you and your team work with faculty and with students to prepare American students for what is a very culturally different experience in East Africa. I'm just wondering if you can say something about that.
So yeah, I think I can share this conversation specifically with Rebecca, Aaron, and Jordan. But from our perspective, how we help facilitate that is we give a lot of opportunities to our faculty and staff when they're developing their programs to have orientations and trainings. We also will help support by meeting with students for the faculty if they ask for that, and help facilitating and liaisoning some of the questions that students might have. I know specifically for the program, only because I was very hands-on with helping Aaron and Rebecca and Jordan prepare. They created a handbook for the students that was really helpful, and a lot of our faculty and staff who create these programs, regardless of location around the world that they're going, a lot of times they do have pre-departure orientation sessions, handbooks. They do a lot of one-on-one consultation and meetings with students to address and answer their questions and help them prepare for a time abroad. And I also know this program also had a very comprehensive packing list that was able to help everybody get ready for their trip abroad. Jordan, Rebecca, Erin, anything else?
I think you hit the points. Really, a lot of it is like you said, orientation, orientations with the students, kind of going over what the packing list is, kind of going through that handbook, talking to everyone ahead of time, having, Jordan, you sent a list of books to read, some films to watch. And so just kind of any way we can prepare students, is something that we sort of grasp onto. I don't know if you think of anything.
The only thing is two things come to my mind too to add. One is that one thing that helps with that is having an absolutely tremendous organization led by Thierry on the ground there in FHA that does a really amazing job sort of welcoming our students and helping with some of that transition and problems that might encounter. The other thing I would just quickly mention is that we like to emphasize maybe a lot of these cross-cultural exchanges for students to notice how things are different and but I think one of the striking things that always hits me is students' surprise when they see how much commonality there is too. And so I think that the students, in my experience, fairly quickly are fairly resilient and fairly quickly sort of adapt to the new situations that they're put into, again, with the help of Thierry and others on the ground.
I would add to that too, that I think part of that is creating opportunities like this where we're engaged with our with Thierry and his crew and the community over there in Rwanda throughout the year, and that it's not just like a one-off, we're going and we're coming back, and that we are able to create that relationship that does span that time and builds, right, because I think more and more we're able to be connected in that way. So that's one way that I've been kind of working, is to create, again, these longitudinal sorts of relationships with Thierry and the community and the trackers and the folks and all the great people that are working over
there. Thank you. I'd be interested in a brief update on the climate research. People's recent findings.
Yeah, so we've had, so it's been, interesting with COVID, but we've had some really interesting, So the data suggests that we have the chimpanzee population in Gishwati is now up to about 35 individuals, which is pretty amazing. I think when you and I started, it was potentially estimated at maybe 17. It was much lower. So there's some huge, improvement in the population size. I know that Thierry is on the ground and always working with the chimpanzee trackers and coordinating efforts in that way. So there's been a lot of effort in identifying the chimpanzees individually. So Thierry, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think up to at least 35 individuals are able to be identified just from their natural markings. So we're not having to do nest censuses anymore. We can actually count the individuals, is it 35?
Yeah, we are having a new baby, so it is 36, and we have like 28 that are like having names. So we're trying to add every single individual. So it is not like every 36 individual that is identified, but 28 of them now we know.
Maybe, we have identification. So there's been a huge improvement on that realm.
That's one cohesive group.
Yep. At this point, it's one cohesive community. It'll be interesting to see what happens, because there's some new land that has been that's starting to regenerate, and the chimpanzees are starting to use this new area of regenerated forest. And so it'll be interesting to see as they spread out, will they become more than one community? But at this point, we think they're just one community so far. Yeah.
It's a really neat work that our former students, now grad students, have been doing too. So Sylvan's work comes to mind, that he's just defended his thesis. And one of the really neat things he found was that they did some genetic work with our population, and the genetic variance is still really good, similar to what you find in larger communities that aren't isolated. So that's good news. And some of the markers that they looked at least one of the markers is completely unique to the Gishwati population. And so it sort of adds a little bit more importance to the conservation of this population and why we should be worried about smaller populations as well too.
Yeah, oftentimes, funding agencies will sort of give preference to populations of chimpanzees that are like 400 or more, and Gishwati can has in the past been overlooked, but these sort of genetic markers really sort of point to the importance of saving even these really small populations, because they can have these unique genetic markers that will be lost if the population itself is lost. So they're sort of really important in creating and maintaining that genetic diversity within this particular subspecies of chimpanzee. Yeah.
So how far away is the closest other population?
Oh gosh, about
70 kilometers.
70 kilometers to the south in Amiable. So at this point, they would not, they're very isolated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how many generations will continue before you potentially lose some genetic diversity. But yeah, at this point, it's really still quite present.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
We are close to 1 o'clock, so is there one more question from perhaps some of our Zoom attendees? Yeah. I'm curious how much time. So Thierry, you're based in Gishwati full time, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And Aaron and Jordan and Rebecca, how much time do you get to spend at the research station and doing this work that you're talking about?
Not enough time.
Not enough.
But yeah, in the summers, really, that's sort of when we are able to do it through these study abroad programs. It was tough with COVID because we had 3 years where we weren't able to visit. But now we're really excited to get this up and running again. And usually we'll spend, in the past we've spent maybe a month even in the summertime. So we'll see what we can get in the future. But at this point, it's up, 2 weeks and potentially even longer, depending on what kind of project we can kind of start thinking about with students, undergrads and grads.
We'd be happy to speak with our dean and see if she'd allow us to take the year and go to Rwanda. That would be great.
Yeah, my dean too. I'll put that request in with my dean
Yeah.
as well about that. But I think the short answer, Brad, is I think at one level we want to continue to so if Aaron has a group that goes over one time and I have a group and there's another group and that we're we're building and we're regularly visiting there rather than just the one-off once a year kind of thing. And again, also the as Aaron was talking about with the network, the connection there to be able to work throughout the year, to be able to collaborate, to be able to share resources throughout the year, I think is really important too. And that's part of some sustainable work that we're trying to invite and get folks to join us in as well. So yeah.
And again, this research station was, always from day one that was built with the intent of being multidisciplinary. So it was never built, for us to do primate work or anything like that. So really that's our big push now, is to work with different offices on campus, different administrative units, and see what we can do to get more disciplines out there. Our goal was to create the infrastructure, and now we're counting on others to jump in and make use of it.
Well, we're at 1 o'clock, so we really should finish up here. But I would like to thank all of you, Thierry, Trachanda, Jordan, Aaron, Rebecca, for sharing this work with us. And hope that we'll have a chance to all join you on one of these trips.
That'd be great. That's what we're at.
Please do. Yeah, definitely.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Take care.
Thanks, guys.